I do want to say something about this week's Parsha and how it relates to food. So, steak, right? Steak mignon, can't eat it. I like my steak, and that's the most tender steak we can get. So, because Jacob fought with an angel, with Esav's angel, and he got a hip injury, we can't eat that steak from that area. And the other thing is, we're supposed to remember that this occurred. But how many of us go into a restaurant and say, okay, I'd like a nice tender steak, but not the sirloin, right? Well, that's what I'm saying. Nobody here is going to think, well, we're from and we don't think about this mitzvah until we get to the Parsha every year. And then we think, oh yeah, there's that. It's not like lighting candles where we think about doing it every week, or a man laying tefillin. It's like we are supposed to remember this mitzvah, and yet we don't really remember it. So what was the point of this mitzvah? So we are told in the Torah that what happened, that Esav's guardian angel touched the sciatica nerve, touched the nerve. So when we look at the world outside, and we know that those who despise us, we touched a nerve with them, right? We touched a nerve with them.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
We touched a nerve with them, and not only that, but Jacob got a name change. Well, why did he get an additional name, Israel, at that time? Why didn't he get that additional name after Binyamin was born and all the tribes were born? Why wouldn't he get an additional name then? It would have made more sense. Why now, when he's got a limp from this encounter? And yes, he won against this angel, but he didn't come out completely whole. He was somewhat damaged, and he was limping really for the rest of his life. So what was really this all about? So this really, the name Jacob is the individual man. He was alone. And one of the reasons we have to remember this is that his sons left him alone that night. He was alone. And we're not supposed to leave a parent alone to wander around at night, right? An older parent. We're not supposed to do that. So they said, well, we won't eat that part of the animal, so that, well, remember, we did that. We made a mistake. We let our father be alone. And as a result, he had this battle, etc., etc. But Jacob represents, the name Jacob represents man's individual battle, that all the challenges that he undergoes. And the name Israel, which was added at that time specifically, represents how the nations see us as a nation. Israel represents us as a nation. So when you hear in the news every week, you don't hear, look what Jacob, the Jews individually did in Gaza, this genocide. You hear, look what Israel did, right? And then we are all together as a nation, and there you can see they consider every single Jew as a group. And this is how the world looks at us. So what happened after the angel touched the hip? The hip was dislocated. What do the nations do to us after we touch a nerve? They dislocate us. They dispossess us from where we're living. We are dislocated. We have to leave that location. So this is imperative to our understanding. Why do we need to remember this? So Hashem wanted us to remember that even when your enemies come and they are persecuting you, you may come out with a limp, but you're going to be still successful, and you're going to win, and you're going to survive forever. And this is what he wanted us to remember, that whatever we are undergoing, individually or as a nation, we're going to come through it, and we're going to come through successfully. We're going to win this battle.